Recording. Woohoo! Here we go. All right. So give me a second here so I can send you the live.
Starting to go right here. Okay. Oh, I see us. I can share this, girl. I see us right
Oh,
here.
you
Look at
got
me
it?
fixing my
Okay, I
hair.
just
Oh my
shared it
gosh.
with you.
Okay, great. There's a share button here. Yay. We are live. We're live, everyone. We're live.
Woohoo!
Okay, cool. Good
All
job.
right. So I'm going to go back to my questions here so I can pretend I know what I'm doing.
I'm going to keep fixing my hair.
Okay, good.
Pretend like I really took the time to brush it today.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to have my questions here and hopefully my phone doesn't go to sleep too often. So Zaina, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, girl.
And all right, so let's talk about who we are and what we're doing here. So my name is Esther, Esther Levy. I am the founder of the EIEQ Institute. And what that is basically a platform to help us learn how to be more self-aware and self-regulated, aka recognizing our level of crazy and managing it when we're dealing with all kinds of life and all kinds of crazy. And so the point is to learn how to do all of that. And with that comes learning how to raise our vibrations, raising our emotional intelligence, our EQ. And so that is what the EIEQ Institute is all about. And so we are being sponsored by Florida Balance Centers. And that is currently what I'm up to and who I work with and for. And we help people with vertigo and dizziness and balance issues and things like that. So let's get into it. I want to introduce our guest for this evening. And one of the reasons why we're getting together is because this beautiful woman went through some very difficult challenges in her life recently. And so I reached out to her and I wanted to find out how she's managing the crazy, because obviously there must be some crazy to manage with what she went through, and she will tell you more about it. And just to say a little bit about her, she is a life coach, she is an artist, she is a comedian, she's a teacher of all teachers, and she is just a beautiful being and a soul just here doing her work. And so with that, Zaina, let's welcome you. And
Thank you.
tell us first, how are you? How are you feeling?
Thank you so much, Esther. I'm just looking at your face and you're so wonderful. You're so wonderful. Thank you for having me. Thank you. I was just saying before, thank you for the courage to ask me to be on here to talk about. I was actually looking up the definition of tragic because I was like, what is actually the definition of something tragic? It says causing or characterized by extreme distress or sorrow. So we could put it in that category. It was extremely distressful and it was very sad. But how am I doing? You know, it's like you were saying before, like if you feel funky, let me know. Like I'm always observing, and I'm always just observing. And this has brought me into that higher, even level of observing and separating myself from the experience, like of the emotions, the thoughts, and what's going on in my body. So I always, when somebody says, "How are you now?" it's like, I'm here, you know? And emotionally, I feel great today. I've been doing art, I've been at the beach. And it doesn't mean like, negative or not negative, like sad emotions don't come through and I'm doing all that fun stuff. But right now, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. And I don't know who's watching, but thank you for being with us.
So let's, let's get down to the nitty gritty here, because some people may come on. I know they see the the
The caption.
heading of this live today, and the heading is, how do you deal with um how do you recognize and manage the crazy when you lose a child, when you lose an unborn child? So, you know, basically how we got here to this very moment is, I knew that you were expecting for several months, and it was, the whole community knew about it, and it was really beautiful, and we were all awaiting this, this holy soul to come. And it was coming around that time when I was like, okay, where's the kid? What's going on, right? And I speak usually very straight, very very just, raw and very straight up, and keep it real and stuff. And next thing I know, someone had said to me that you had lost the child. And my first response was, oh my goodness, obviously that's terrible, that sucks. But then very quickly I went into, and just go with me how I phrase this, it couldn't have happened to a more powerful being. And I'm sure you understand what I mean by that, is that you are a person who does the work on this spiritual level. So you can get that this soul obviously came here to do whatever he had to do. Excuse me. And, it had to end the way it had to end. But you are, you are such a blessing to that child, because if it was someone else, it could have been, I mean, obviously everybody has their path and everybody gets what they need to get. And there's no like, oh, well, lucky her. No. But the fact is that, obviously you too, him and you, were very powerful beings that came together to do this job together. And so I felt sad for you, but I also felt empowered for you, because I knew that you were someone that could handle what happened, and you are going to continue on like you are, like you're going to continue on with your life, and you're going to continue being the I'm sorry, I'm nursing this cough. You're going to be like this being of light that you are for so many in the community, and that it's not going to stop you. And so with that, let's get into it. So, what happened? What caused, if you could share with us what caused this to happen?
Well, I don't know that answer. I don't know the answer to that. I think that's the biggest lesson that I mean, there's so much. I thought I was spiritual before Noor. Now it's like having me take a really deep dive, but I don't know, and this is my book, and that my birth story is written in here, like in very detailed descriptions. Like I wrote it out because I wanted to get it out, because when there's a loss, like the story, like, just got lost. It was such an extraordinary story of the pregnancy and the birth. So but we had a home birth. It was so beautiful. We had the pool. I overlooked the ocean, so out here was Mama Ocean. And um it was a long labor. I was in labor for a while, like you're talking days. And I, through my pregnancy, had a doula and a midwife that were both um, advocates for the humanization of birth, which is really giving the woman the opportunity to birth, like to really experience birthing. And it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean you don't take drugs, it doesn't mean nothing, but every woman is different. And I just learned a lot during my pregnancy. I'd never been pregnant, and I really got into trusting myself so deeply, and trusting my body, and partnering with this soul. Like, when the water broke and we started going into labor, like we were so ready, Dre, my partner and I, like we were so ready. We were ready for whatever would happen. If we would end up at the hospital, like I knew that he would be the ninja in the hospital to make sure everything goes the way we designed it. If we did it here, we had a team here. My family was here. You know, everything actually was, we were healthy the whole way. And it was one of those incidences that in birth education, there's a chapter at the beginning of all the exceptions of things that could go irie, you know. And it was one of them. He had shoulder dysplasia where the shoulder gets stuck in some position and he literally got stuck.
Mm.
Um, and when he came out, you know, he was beautiful. He had a lot of hair. And I remember the woman saying, you know, we have a stillborn. And, you know, me, I'm always like looking for possibilities. So I was like, well, can we get him to breathe? What
Mhm.
can we do to get him to breathe? And she said, ma'am, we can't do that.
Was it the being stuck that caused the stillborn, or was it he's stillborn before he got stuck?
Oh no, he was healthy. We had his heartbeat and him healthy up until he was stuck too long. And when they're stuck too long, it messes with their connection to the umbilical cord. That's my understanding of it. And there's so much we just don't know.
Right.
You know, that's as far as, and I tried to dig a little bit deeper. I wanted to know exactly when he passed because I was taken out of my apartment, emergency ambulance, butt sticking up, the whole thing. And I don't, you know, I don't know exactly what happened, but I stopped trying to figure it out. Like that's everything I said to you. Like that's as much as I can know.
Yeah.
And the rest, you know, I don't know.
So, given the circumstance, and you said you trusted your body, you had all these feelings about, being healthy, this all, everything was in the right place, everything was happening the way it should. And so, how do you feel? And I want to get into this really deep conversation about this because I think this is something that people need to people need to understand that there is some fundamental truths in the world. And what I mean by that is this in spirit, that we are spiritual beings on a human journey. And that, there may be skeptics out there that talk about, there's no such thing as God, there's no such thing as, spirit, and that's all fine. And we can be skeptics. I have my moments, but I've chosen to take the road of yes, there is spirit because it makes me a better person. And even if it's all a bunch of crap, eventually I'll find out. And by that time, it'll be too late because I would have lived this life much better than I would not believing and being a skeptic. So, how do you feel with everything that's happened? How has spirit played its role now in this situation for you?
Anything, it's delved me deeper into the mystery. You know, it's what had me snap out of what could have been a downward spiral of depression, self-pity, blame, resentment, and anger is getting that I have absolutely no dominion over birth or death. Nor my son, that's his name here, um, was an unplanned pregnancy. You know, I want to say I had nothing to do with him arriving, and I had nothing to do with him leaving. And that was that's the healing aspect. But you know, the perspective, which look, we can all choose to view life how we choose to view life. That's one thing. But the truth of like, I mean, we could pretend like we're in control, but when that hurricane comes, as much as we think we can will it away, that hurricane comes. And that's how fragile and vulnerable we are.
Mhm.
And I'm grateful for that view, like this upfront view of life. But then the perspective that I have practiced for most of my life now is that life is always happening for our soul to grow, like you said in soul school. And I've just always, not always, probably in my mid 20s, I had the moment of, oh, life isn't happening for me. I'm not a victim to all this. Life is not happening to me. It's happening for me. So I've been practicing that, like you lift dumbbells, and I've been developing this muscle of whenever life comes at me, not in the way I expect, not in the way I want, not in the way I like. One, that I can be with the disappointment and the sadness, and like that part is healthy, and like it sucks, and it's like that part of being human. I'm not going to run away from that. But like the other stuff, the other layers of, well, what if we did this, and what if that happened, and that could have done, all that doesn't exist in our life.
Yeah.
Like it actually automatically came because that's what we do. We're human and we automatically put meaning on things. Like when Dre first came into the hospital room, like he didn't know if we were dead or alive, right? They followed us to the hospital. And when he walked in, like I had just found out that our son wasn't alive. And he knew it when I said no. And I said to him, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean I'm sorry that you lost your son. I meant I'm sorry I fucked up. And that was my automatic go-to. That's my whole life. Like I go to, I'm sorry I fucked up. Sorry, my language. I don't know if we're allowed to
No,
curse on
you
here.
know what? I think,
Whatever.
I think to be honest with you, I think kids nowadays have much bigger problems than hearing someone cuss. So cuss away,
Cool.
and
Okay. I don't
we'll
like
keep
to
it
be
to a minimum. We'll keep it to a minimum.
I'm not
But
a
I didn't
swear.
even actually, I didn't even like pay attention actually.
It's okay.
So we'll keep it to a minimum, but
I will. I
do your
will.
thing. Do your thing.
Thank you. But so when I said sorry, what was automatically there was that. And I'm so grateful for Dre. Like, we have each other's back so much. And in that moment, he looked at me and he said, please don't ever say that again. And we literally were not allowed to say sorry in our house anymore because we both do that. We both apologize when it's not,
Yeah.
it's just that I'm sorry versus I apologize. So yeah, I've had this conversation with someone so close to me recently about God. It's like, I don't know, like whether you should or shouldn't believe in God, but there's a pondering that I've been sitting in of like just a mystery. There's something so divine about sitting in the mystery and surrendering to it rather than try to figure all this out.
Well, I will tell you that the only reason that I choose to go down the road of spirit and earth school and all these things more than not is because for me in my life, there's been so many situations where I shouldn't be sitting here. I shouldn't even be here. You know what I mean? Like falling downstairs, car accidents, the kind of, meeting people in certain circumstances, the way that I met my partner, Tom, like all the things that are in my life that have shown me over and over again that something's leading you, something's guiding you, and sometimes even questioning that, okay, maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's a coincidence. You know what? It could be, but it's just too hard. It's too many coincidences that are what had to happen for those things to have manifested the way that they did. So for me, that's why I choose it. That's why I choose that there are certain we don't have, like you say, we don't always have control over certain things. And for me, it's because of this destiny, this free will, this divine appointment that we have being here at Earth School. But again, everybody has to choose their own way. But if we're going to choose our own way, that's fine. But there is some fundamental truths that that I will be discussing in my book, as I spoke about earlier. When the book is out, there will be some fundamental truths that we do need to honor as human beings. We do need to honor certain truths that we cannot deny. And I think because we're denying them is causing us a lot of harm.
Mm.
So, but that's a different conversation for a different time. So,
Well, it isn't. It isn't. It's exactly the same thing, you know? Like, you could ignore those fundamental truths. You know, you can ignore that you are vulnerable and fragile in life, and life is very precious and fragile. You could ignore that, but it doesn't change the fact that we're all in the same boat.
yeah, exactly. So, how is Dre doing? How is he? I actually wanted to offer if he wanted to come on and do this with you, but I kind of figured if you wanted, yes,
Right.
no, but I don't know if he would
He's
have.
in denial. He's in denial. He's in Egypt, and he's on a sunrise cruise on the Nile. And I told him, said, "Are you in denial, babe?" You
Nice,
know, we were so blessed. So there was like a bunch of coincidences that went from blah 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 that brought so many angels into our lives. But one of them particularly, her name is Camila. She's a therapist that also came through from my doula's circle, and she's started working with us from the beginning. She offered her services pro bono to the whole team, the whole birthing team. The doula, the midwife, everybody was impacted, right? But Dre and I have been working with her since, and she's an angel. You know, I'm so grateful. So he's doing great. We went on a trip just 2 weeks ago. We were in Morocco for a week together,
yeah,
and
I
we went and
saw, I
we
saw.
rode the camels, and it was really a beautiful healing trip. And now he just took another trip, which is what he loves to do. So he's going back to doing his thing, getting into his flow.
Nice.
But yeah, this is the longest that we're going with, like, separate. He's gone for 3 weeks,
Oh,
and
wow.
at the beginning, we would wake up in the middle of the night and have anxiety attacks, and the the opportunity of those was like we really got to develop like holding a space for each other that we've never held, and obviously it brought us much closer. And having all the tools that we had, like, I could just so see how couples can just drift apart or be resentful or incomplete about something and then hold it against each other, or not communicate things. And we just have had the tools to have all that. And now, like, we're in this situation that could have been so tough, and he's never supported me the way he's supporting me now. Like, I've never been so in love with him. It's like we're back on a honeymoon phase.
Nice.
And and he gets to know himself. Like, I get coaching from a lot of different people, and I've never went to him for that. Like, we just didn't have that. And now, because we have the same therapist, like, we really support each other. Like, we have structures throughout the week, and like, I'll go to him and he'll come to me. And so we've become like best friends for life, and we've become a family. Like, we're a family now more than ever. So we're doing
So this is amazing, right? How this is the beauty of tragedy or transformation.
yes.
And so this is why I feel like God forbid, I would never wish this on anyone, but this is exactly why I said what I said at the beginning, is that you are such a transformational person. And for you to have gone through this, it's going to be able to help so many other people. So, yes, it sucks that you had to be the channel for this. And at the same time, you had to be the channel for this.
I had
So,
a conversation with Noor about this at the beginning. I'm like, bro, I'm pissed. Like, really, we agreed to this?
right,
Really? I
right.
get it. Okay. But that's part of the thing. And it's just part of the process. Like, so many layers. But yeah, like, it's part of the layers of healing.
So how do you trust your body now?
Hmm. It's so annoying. I was thinking about this today. Like, you know how women gain weight like from pregnancy? I realize it's not from pregnancy. It's from being on the pregnant women diet for so long and then not being able to come off of it. You know what the pregnant lady diet is?
No.
It's eat whatever the F you want anytime and don't feel guilty about it.
Got it.
Girl, it's not easy. Like I don't know how to stop that now. Like I'm curvier and I like it and I'm like I have a mama pooch and I don't have a baby. I'm like
Right.
pissed about that. But how do I trust my body more? I mean, I definitely like when I look in the mirror, I think anybody who's ever been pregnant, like I don't know. I just don't give myself permission to be mean. Like I hear the thoughts and I'm like, I would like it to be this way or I should work out more and I'm just like, being pregnant and giving birth just such a miraculous thing. Like I just pray to God. I mean, don't ever let me take my body for granted for 1 second or not appreciate it or have something about my breast hanging too low or my lips being different sizes. I heard somebody say that the other day about their vagina. So funny.
Nice.
But all the things like it just trust my body. Our bodies, women's, it's just amazing. My body, created a baby and birthed it. And it's funny because people, when I first put out the book, I was like, people could have so much to say about this, you know. Um, but when I know I'm settled in the mystery and that none of us have any dominion over birth or death, then there's nothing else to say, you know? There's no what ifs, there's nothing. And that's for anything in life. It's so freeing.
So, so let me ask you, in EQ, when we talk about EQ, when we talk about emotional intelligence, it's a philosophy. And people see it in different ways. There's it's like let's just give an example so people understand. It's the cousin of IQ. So IQ is how smart we are, and then EQ is how emotionally intelligent we are. So these are different faculties, right? They're different percentages. So a lot of people say, oh, my IQ is whatever, 500, let's just say, which is ridiculous, but let's just say, right? So let's say your EQ can also be really high, because EQ, we know now, studies have shown that when we're EQ, it means that we are able to live in a much more balanced way with our emotions. We're able to get along with people. We're able to get along with ourselves. We're able to, like I say, recognize and manage the crazy in a much better way. And so we are more productive. So life is a lot more successful. And a lot of people that are very successful have very high EQs. So the tools that I hear you say are tools that I will be speaking about, like I mentioned in the book, but they're very important tools. And I want you to tell me if I'm correct here. So I hear acceptance, I hear humor, another one could be letting go, and let God, which is, another form of acceptance, right?
Hmm.
Any other tools that you would offer that you could say, and don't worry about if it's an EQ tool or not an EQ tool, because there's no official EQ tool. They're actually just tools that we make up. So it could be art, which is what you do. It could be comedy, like I mentioned already. It could be communication that you're doing with your partner. It could be traveling, exploration. And these
Totally.
are all the things that I'm going to actually be talking about. But,
Music.
music, exactly. There you go. Music. What else?
You named so many. I mean, you know, I just make it a priority to manage. I call it manage my energy and manage my focus. Um, but it's like, it's a lifestyle. Like it's like going on a diet and I'll be like, well, start doing this and doing that. So I mean, everything you named, like I'm very creative and this experience had me like I have never put out so much stuff as I have in the next. Everybody's like, "Are you okay? Are you even sleeping?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sleeping a lot and I'm going to the beach a lot. I'm just really taking care of myself and that I just know to do that. So everything you said, I mean, what have I been doing? I one of the big thing for me is being of service to others, like gets me out. And, this was an interesting experience for me because I'm always one to do that. And with this experience at the beginning, I probably took 2 months where it was really hard because I knew my community was also grieving and wanted to be there for me. And I wanted to hold space for them, but there was absolutely no way I was going to do that under these circumstances. And, but community is a really big thing for me. Like, we go to the park every Thursday. You came, that everyone's like, how much is that? I'm like, it's not that I give away my services for free. That is something that is that is, I go there and I'm going to sing anyways. And if you guys come, I'm really happy that you're there. Like that is just joy to my heart. And then when people come, it's like even more joyful. Um, Art, like I've just been doing a lot of art. I live on the beach and it's something I created like 3 years ago. It's like I set myself up for this. I have this environment that's like paradise on a daily, and that's just always been a priority for me, to have my life be such that everything that I'm doing is bringing my soul joy. So like EQ, if or whether it's really awareness, because if we're not doing the work, then we're going to have a lot of trauma rumbling underneath the tissues, and you're going to have a lot of emotions and it's going to be difficult. And as much as you try to manage them, you can't manage them, like, so you got to like get to the root of things. But otherwise just like keep yourself in the flow. For me, things like I don't take calls in the morning. The morning, the longest I could stay quiet and be in my relationship with God and do the things that like are in my flow. I and I've been doing that a lot more. Like I used to start my day at 10, now I've pushed it out to like 2, you know, and I do all that stuff in the morning. I go for walks on the beach, I go to hot yoga, do my prayers, I clean my house.
Nice.
Um, Mom, did you hear that? I clean my house. She'll be happy to hear that. I'm not the best at doing that, but I mean, it's not that I'm not the best, but I want to be better.
No worries. So
Yeah.
tell us, when we're on this topic, tell us what you do. Tell us what you do professionally. So I know that just from this recent interaction that we've had planning for this talk, um, I know you do life coaching and you do art, and then tell us more about these beautiful other things that you've been getting yourself into.
Awesome. Okay. So my main program is called the Creatrix program, and it's
What
like
is it called?
Creatrix. And it's exactly what we're talking about. A creatrix is somebody who takes whatever life brings us as a soul lesson, alchemizes it as healing for yourself, and then by sharing it, healing for others. And I basically take people through that process, like whatever people have dealt with in life. Like people have dealt with all kinds of things, and when we start to put the lens on of, okay, well, let's look at that thing that happened there. What was your soul, what were you setting yourself up to learn there at the soul level? And when you start to look from there, you start to find the soul lessons, and we actually start um you start to collect your soul lessons, and then everything that you do comes from there. So sometimes people will develop their courses from there. Right now, I'm doing a Creatrix program that's specifically for people to get their story out and then publish a book. So in 90 days, I have a group of 6 people. They're going to publish their books in 90 days. So that's, the Creatrix coaching program, it keeps morphing. Like, the book one I just started because there's so many people around me that are publishing books, and it's something that I've had an expertise in for like the last 15 years. And I'm also an expert in coaching people to get things out of the way so that they can be empowered, take responsibility in their lives, and find those soul lessons. So I've mushed that together into this program. So that's the main thing that I do. And then, like you said, I'm doing comedy, which was a result of coming out of this experience. I started going to comedy shows, started taking comedy class, and we just did our first comedy show. We're calling it the New Earth 5D Galactic Comedy Show. So that's super, super fun. And I'm really getting into that as far as performing, but also putting on events and training other stand up comedians. So I'm now a stand up comedian coach.
Nice.
I know. Um, yeah, and I teach yoga, I teach meditation. I just started teaching yoga again the other day, and I miss it a lot. I haven't been teaching. I just haven't been touching that. And the other thing I do is I'm a crypto educator. I know it's kind of like over here to the left, but I'm just really passionate about a lot, what's going on in the world, and I'm passionate about educating people so that they know what's happening. Um, and I'm a mother, and and I'm a daughter. I'm also an aunt. I have a niece and a nephew who were along with me the whole ride. They were really looking forward to their cousin. They actually this was so weird, but they bought a doll, and they have this doll, they call it Noor, and it looks like him. And it's a little freaky when you first see it. Like, when I first saw it, it took me a little while to adjust to it. But it was their way of healing and their way of really pouring their love, because they had so much love to share with that soul, and they still do. They remind me, they look for Noor everywhere. Like, when they see the sunrise, they're like, Noor is with us. They've taught me more than I knew. um so yeah, that's what I do. I
And how
In a
would
nutshell.
people reach out to you? Like just on Facebook, or right? They
They
would just reach out
can.
to you on Facebook. It's probably easiest
Yeah,
because you're
I
seeing
have
each
a
other.
website. It's my name, ZainaDeGaia.com, but Facebook, Instagram, it's all there,
Okay.
and my links are there.
And you wrote a book, right? Do you want to just put it up
Well,
for a sec?
I actually, so I wrote two books. I mean, recently, from Noor, but this one is called Super Soul. I know there's a glare there. Super Soul, my birth story. So I wrote the birth story. There's a lot of pictures in here, so there's like the whole. I wanted basically to honor his life, right, from conception to birth. Um, so there's the baby shower, and there was the mama's blessings, and all the sunrises and all the kirtans, the one you came to. And then the other half of the book is just pages, so that other mamas can share and write their stories. Um, and I've started every fourth. Let's, well, I'm actually going to do a third Thursday. There's one tomorrow. Once a month, I do a mother's healing circle with the intention for mothers to share their birthing story and be complete. And it's not just for women who lost their babies or women who had a miscarriage. It's for any mom, just to be able to complete the experience of birth, because it could be traumatic. There could be things that didn't go the way you wanted them to, that you're still upset about. And I've I've been learning this, but mamas are interesting. But sometimes mamas don't say those things because they feel like they have the baby. Like, what do I have to complain about? My baby's not dead. So that's been healing for me, to be with other mothers and to share my story. And I don't know, I know there's more with this. There's just, whatever you deal with in life that's like tragic, that's, it's unique. It makes you a resource now for the planet, so
Exactly.
I'm a new resource. And um in that way. And this is the second book. I haven't finished this one yet. I got henna on it, but it's called Noor's Endless Blessings, and this one is like amazing. Like, this is, I made make this into cards. um Take responsibility where it's due, otherwise it becomes blame. What does that one say? you're in the kingdom. I could talk about the kingdom, but this is I started as soon as Noor passed. I started just, I was so present to so much light. I was present to so many blessings. I was, at first I saw him as this little baby. Like, I saw him, he was a little baby. And then when it kicked in, which was 2 days after, what kicked in was, oh my God. And this is kind of, it's kind of funny, but it's not. But he's such a perfect soul that he just needed to dip in and dip out.
Right,
Like, he had such little karma to burn. Now, whether
right,
you believe in that or not, guys, it
right.
doesn't matter. Like,
Doesn't matter.
for me,
Yeah,
choosing to believe that empowered me. And
right,
then I started seeing him as this huge soul. But here's the kicker, I started seeing myself as a huge soul. And then I started seeing everybody around me as huge souls. Like, super soul is, and then the kingdom came about and the song came about. He gave me a song called The Kingdom. And it came through, and it was about all the angels that are surrounding us, like all the people I know. I have like a high density of angels around me. And he had me see the kingdom. It's all over the world. Anybody who's doing God's work, that's sharing light and love, whatever you want to call it, but you're here to serve each other, you're in the kingdom. And it just, it altered everything for me. I was still very sad. We would still wake up with our panic attacks, but I was empowered, and it really gave me a different perspective. So this is coming out once I finish it, Noors, and this one I'm excited about because there's so much wisdom in it. There's so many blessings that have come from it. Like, with me and Dre, that's just one. Me and my brother Rami, like, we've been drifting apart for years. I've never been closer to him.
nice.
We are like, it makes me cry just thinking about it. He's so amazing. Me and my mom, we've always been close. Now, another level. My mom is such a champ, such a champ. And it's also brought like bullshit relationship to the surface.
Right.
And it's had me like, the kingdom thing is a new concept for me. It's actually having me have boundaries, Esther. I've never had boundaries. But that's all part of the blessings from my son. So those are the two books.
Can you
And
define what you mean by boundaries? Like, what kind of boundaries did you,
so, for example, I'm writing a little blog about this because I always talk about the heart and the heart being our superpower. So, if at any time we protect our hearts, then we lose an aspect of the light. So, if you put a fence around your heart or you protect your heart in any way, it loses its power. So, confused that in my life by I've confused that with letting everybody in. Everybody is allowed in, but not everybody gets to stay. And boundaries for me now look like saying to a client, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm not the coach for you. And that's like super humble. Before that, I would just pretend like, yeah, I could. But now I set boundaries with anybody. I mean, in my family right now, I'm choosing not to have conversations with people. Those are boundaries that I didn't have before. Um, but all while I'm doing the work in myself to be honest that my heart isn't shutting down, and where it is that I keep doing the work. But I'm not protecting my hearts, but I am protecting my physical place because I am human in a body and I have a house, and I'm careful that my body doesn't get hurt. And I also don't want certain types of people in my house. And I could keep my heart open
yeah.
and um, lock my door.
I think that's a very important thing that you're saying, because I think in the conscious community, um, I think we're becoming a lot more balanced in this
Yes.
way. I've noticed it probably in the past 5 years, that before there was a lot of
Love and light and bullshit.
yes, I didn't know how to
Totally.
I didn't know how
There's
to phrase it.
it is. It's an awakening. And I think spiritual people, let's say, are
Yeah,
attracted to these spiritual paths because I know for me, I'm an enabler of inappropriate behavior. I'm an enabler of abusive behavior. And when I entered the path of yoga and spirituality, even the term like being of service, I confused that with setting no boundaries and just giving and giving and giving and giving. That's not what that means.
right,
You know, being of service is a way of being. It's not allowing people to just take and abuse and manipulate and lie. That is not being of service. That's being not, we call it, me and Drake call it nicey nicey. He'll
right,
always call me out when I'm doing the nicey nicey thing. Nicey nicey is nasty as fuck. It's
right,
so nasty. It covers up the truth, which is like, you know, I don't know how to handle this situation. I actually don't know how to be with somebody like this. So I need to protect myself.
right.
And I get like nicey nicey. So this whole experience, like I said, it's just, it's like tragedy brings bullshit to the surface. It's like ghee. You're like boiling butter and all the solid stuff comes to the top and you're like just wiping it off. And it's been so much transformation for me. I'm I've had challenges communicating in those instances, like to share what's there. I'd rather just like walk away. It's
Yeah,
cancel culture. Like I'll just F it. And
yeah,
now I'm not doing that. I'm saying the truth and sometimes it pisses people off, but that's love. It's, you know, walking away and canceling you and pretending like we're okay is not love.
yeah.
So,
You know, it's true. And, you know, no disrespect to anyone, but I think this whole cancel culture, it's a little bit like, look, I don't know where it came from. I have my own opinions about where it came from and why it's coming as strong as it is. I think there's room for um, knowing when to say enough is enough. And that goes back to boundaries. But that is a healthy way of doing it. There's also the non-healthy way of doing it is saying, okay, you're just done. You're just canceled. We haven't resolved anything. We have not
no,
resolved anything.
it's bypassing. When they say that's
Yeah,
what bypassing is like
yeah,
when people say, you know what, your energy, like you're too low vibes for me. You're like, there's no out there. That's you not being able to manage your own energy.
right.
You blame it on other people. But
Yes,
we, you know, and we all do that. I think the more we take responsibility, the more we realize these things that we say, they're not true.
right. And that's exactly what this concept is about. This recognize and manage your level of crazy, because it's not about what they did. It's not about what they said. It's not what about they didn't say. It's what you're doing and how you're handling your business and how you're responding to the world around you. So life is not easy. Circumstances happen. I mean, look at what you've went through. You know, look at what, you know, I've dealt with certain things in my life, you know, and we have to take total responsibility for our part in it, with the same balance of letting go and the acceptance and the knowing that we don't always have control over certain things that are going to happen. And this is where we talk about divinity, and this is where we talk about earth school, and this is where we talk about understanding that we are here on a divine appointment. And I love what you were talking about, service. And that is another going to be another very important point that we talk about in the book, is that real service is when you are so busy in service that you don't have time to be paying attention to the bullshit around you. You don't have the time about saying, did this one do this for me, or this one did that for me. You are so busy of service. Now, yes, with the caveat of of healthy boundaries and healthy in a balanced, you know, but let's just say that we're able to do that, and we're talking about just real service, right? So contribution of work, of making sure that you are not a burden to society because you are taking responsibility for the things that you need to do. Like you have bills, you're paying your own bills. You're not, going around trying to just play the victim. You take responsibility for your life and you are doing what you have to do to go work, do what you have to do to pay your bills, and that's it. And so, when we're doing that, when we're taking responsibility, then we're not we're not a burden on society. We're not a burden on other people, and that is service. And then when you're able to now extend your light, extend your ability to now help others. So now you're working, and let's say your work is, kind of like what your work is, my work, when we're coaches, when we're teachers, when we're doing what we're doing and we're responsible for so many other people. That is another layer of that service. And in order to be in that layer of service, we have to be one step ahead all the time, because I know for me, I don't have the energy to go run the clinic if I'm a hot mess. How can I teach anyone anything? How can I coach anyone on anything if I'm a hot mess and my own personal space is not handled? So I think that is one of the things that I noticed over the years, is that people are really starting to wake up to taking personal responsibility and understanding that, we got to get our own personal house in order, get our own level of crazy in order, and then we can be an example to other people. So I think I think what you're doing is phenomenal, and I think that that's why, again, unfortunately you had to be the driver for this. But like you said, now you become a resource to the world. And so now you are that resource to the world. I wanted to ask you, so, on Mother's Day, do you want people to wish you a happy Mother's Day?
It actually happened. I have one more thing for you for your thing. Hold on. It was should it come back? It'll come back. It was one of the other things. Like after a service, there was another one. God, what was it?
It'll come to you.
It'll come back. So Mother's Day happened right after Noor was born, and I actually made a joke about it. I said, Dre, is it too soon for me to start making jokes? I said, should I send a message out to everybody? Because I know everybody's wondering, like, do we wish her happy Mother's Day? I'm like, fuck this. I hate this. What do I tell them? Like, do I tell them anything? I was like, I should just send a message to everybody and say, listen, you should definitely wish me happy Mother's Day. I am a mother. I do have a son, and he's in the special spectrum of the angels.
Nice. Okay. So
I
you
didn't
got
send
it.
that out though. I didn't, maybe next year, but it was still too early. But
Well,
this
whoever
Mother's Day
watches
was
this will hear you. So you there's your order right there. Yes, she wants to be celebrated on Mother's Day. So you got it. You got it. Um, so what about excuse me. What about the thoughts of having any more kids? How do you feel about that?
I just worked that out yesterday with Camila. It just worked it out. I really worked with her on getting to a place where having another child is not some fix for Noor. That would be terribly unfair to another soul. What has come out of this, Esther, that's really interesting is when it first happened, I was left with a strong yearning of wanting to be a mother. Like I am a mother, but to experience, being a mother in that way. And that was never something I had before. Like I never had a yearning to be a mother. So it left me with that. But now it's been 7 months, and I've distinguished there's the yearning of like missing Noor. Like if I'll think like, gosh, I wish he was out here at the beach with me. We'd be in the water. The water's so warm, or the sun feels so nice, or if I'll see another baby, like that's there. But there's a new yearning that's just come up, which is the yearning to have a family. And there's yesterday, Camila said it. She said, you know, maybe that's why he came. Like, I've never had a yearning to have a family. I've been so angry about family. I've been angry about my family, you know, and so I'm still, you know, Dre and I, we talk about it. And one thing that helped was realizing that one, I may always feel fear. Like if I got pregnant again, I may be afraid because of what happened. Like that may not go away. And like I'm cool with that. Um the second thing I have and I get now is it's not even up to me. Like I can like, you know, make sure we have sex while I'm ovulating and I can eat all the right things to make sure my body's ready to have a baby and if it's meant to happen, it will happen just like that happens. So I'm open, um, and it's really up to God. But I'm still in the process with Dre of being on the same page. Like we've both been working through our fears about it. Um, but I think we're both on the same page of I think he had much more of a yearning for a family than I did before this, and now I think it's put us on the same page.
That's great. Okay, that's wonderful.
and and you know, I want to say like when it first happened, I was really, really scared that I would never be able to have a baby again, like if it never happened again. And I have some peace around it now. Like I just leave it up. I leave it up to the mystery. If I'm meant to have a baby again, I will. But if I want it, I'm going to advocate for it. I'm going to do whatever there is to do to have it, and then we'll leave it up to the mystery and the
Right.
divine power of life. You know. And if I'm meant to have had this experience and this experience only, so I can be a mother and experience being a mother in this way, then I'm okay with that too. And I can say that now. I couldn't say that a few months ago.
Who would you say, and I hate doing this question because why am I even asking it then? Okay, I'll tell you what the question is, but I hate this question because it's like you can't, okay, the question is, who was your biggest, I would say your biggest supporter, or maybe let's say it like this, maybe who's the person who surprised you the most
I'll tell
during
you,
this situation?
my, I mean, Dre for sure, my doula Anasuya for sure. But there's two things. There's my brother Rami and my mom. Like, I mean, first Dre for telling me don't say sorry. Like, don't ever, like that just turned the trajectory. Like, it just flipped the switch. And that was like right at when it happened. When my brother was the first one to come into the hospital room, Rami, and Rami walked in, and Rami had been so close to me. When I got pregnant, he's like, Z, this is going to change your life. This soul is he's here to bless all of us. He was so happy for us. And I was so surprised. Like, I'd never had that closeness with Rami. And he was just so happy for us. And him and his wife and they were so supportive throughout the whole thing. They rented a hotel room across the street when they knew my water had broke. They were here every day. They rushed to the hospital with Dre. He had Dre's back so much. When he walked into the hospital room, he was the first person. He just hugged me and he said, Z, you are the bravest person I know. And that's all I needed to hear. And then my mom came in. And my mom happened to have had some time with my doula. No coincidence. They were waiting in the room together, and my mom was going to go hysterical. And she happened to be with Anasuya, and Anasuya really held space for her. And she held space for my mom to walk into that room, and she said two things to me I'll never forget. And I could still hear her voice because it was very high pitched. And she was doing her best to be strong for me and not to come in and just be like, which she did afterwards because he was in there. And when she saw him, she just lost it. But the first thing she said to me is, Zaina, congratulations. You are a mother now like me. I mean,
Amazing.
at that point I couldn't put that together yet. I was like, what? Like, how's that? Like, And the second thing she said is, she said, Zaina, just say Alhamdulillah. Just say thank God. God brought him and God will take him away. And anything that happens, we say thank God. And that's it, you know? And I'll say one more person, which was Moses. Moses was here from the time I became pregnant. A month before my delivery, he parked his van downstairs. And anything we needed, he was there. When Dre started feeling really overwhelmed, because it's a lot having a home birth, like I'm all over the place. I got really needy. The temperature of the water, of the pool, feeding the doula, feeling the midwife, like there was just so much. And Moses was there like Dre didn't, he was just there emotionally. They became like this. But the biggest, I mean, all of that. And when we left to the hospital, we left the apartment like a bloody mess, literally. Blood everywhere, crazy. And Moses spent the night here. I spent the night at the hospital with Dre, and he spent the night here and he cleaned the place up. So when we came home the next morning, we didn't have to deal with seeing that. I don't know how to like I don't know how to say thank you for all that. You know, it was so much. We had so much support, and it's not that I was surprised by it. It's like it allowed me to allow myself to be nurtured, contributed to, have people be of service to me. Like I surrendered to that, and when I did, like I just got like I have an amazing support system, an amazing community, and I can go on because seriously, the community has been extraordinary. There was a nurse. A nurse came in. She was the head nurse at the hospital, and she had this accent. I said to her, "I know this accent." I said, "Are you Lebanese?" She said, "Yes, I am Lebanese." I said, "You sound exactly how my mother talks." She said to me, "Listen, what you went through is tough, but I'll tell you one thing." She goes, "Shit happens." That was the best thing. Like people were saying all kinds of things, but her saying that like
Yeah.
just made my day. Like that was, yeah, I was like, yeah. I could go on and on. I mean, our therapist Camila showing up, people so much, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. That's why I hate that question because it's like, how can you pick one person? You can't pick one person. So I'm glad that you didn't
Thank you.
listen to the one person and you just went in and you said,
Thank
look,
you.
my team, this is my team, this is my friends, my community, my friends. There's no way that it could just be one person. It just does
So
not
many.
work like that.
Margot, she went and she shared with the I Love Yoga community so that like people weren't reaching out to us. My friend Jody reached out to all the landmark people. So, and she was like, don't reach out to, like, we didn't have people reaching out. At some point, I'm like, nobody's calling us. Like, nobody's calling us. There's total silence all the time. But it was so appreciated. Like,
You needed the time.
yeah, my brother and Jody did a fundraiser. They raised a few $1,000s for us. And that, like, it was all these things.
That's wonderful. So, as we come to the end here of this very powerful conversation, what last thoughts would you share with the community or anyone that, goes through something like this? Um, doesn't have to necessarily be, yes, let's talk about this specific situation. What could you offer? What kind of tools or what last words you want to say to them? And then also, any loss, any tragedy now that you've had face-to-face interaction with it.
You know how we talked so much about like looking for the lesson, right? Like however life comes at us. If we jump right to that and we don't feel the feelings, it's not a good thing to do. I wanted to go straight to that because that's my nature. And thank you to my therapist. Thank you to God that I slowed down enough. And one of the things somebody told me, a lot of people said that to me. They said there's no correct, there's no right way to grieve. And there's grief and there's trauma, so they're two separate things to be respected, to be interacted with, to honor, as part of the experience. But I think the biggest thing for me is I allow, and I am still allowing myself to go through this and trust myself in what I need and how it needs to look like. But to go right to the lessons and the blessings is okay. I mean, for me, it's just was naturally what I did. I started writing down all the blessings right away. Like that's the muscle I have, and it's automatic. And it was a form of bypassing. It was a form of coping. We're all different. The humor thing, some of it I use to cope. Some of it is healthy. Some of it is borderline, just like, but allow yourself to be however you need to be. Even like, it was so hard for me. Like, I knew a lot of my friends and people in the community wanted to hear from me. And it's like I was disappointing them by not showing up. And I had to give all that stuff up. I just had to keep surrendering to shit. You're going through something, girl. Like, just let yourself be in this new space. It's vulnerable. It's very truth telling. Like, it's been a great opportunity to be truthful, so that's what I would say. And for mothers, like, I don't know, it's a miracle. Being a mother is a miracle. And find support. That's another thing. I've never been to a therapist. Like, I was way too arrogant to go see a therapist. I mean, I do so much self-development. I don't need a therapist. I recommend get a therapist. Whoever you are, and find somebody you resonate with. I don't know how other therapists are, but I was blessed with somebody who gets me, and just like I resonate so much with her. And that's what makes it work. So, yeah.
I think it's powerful what you're saying about the lesson, because it's true. That's one of the things that for many years, I've been in self-development now for almost 3 decades. And it's true. You get into this mode of like being a superhero almost. It's like, I can handle anything. I can handle anything. And one of the things that taught me that you're still human, darling. Yes, you're a spiritual being on a human journey, but you're on a human journey, was my relationship with Tom. When we got together, there were certain dynamics in his household that I was like, oh, I can handle that. I can handle that. No problem. I got this. Da, 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 da. And as life started to unfold, and we had started to, it was now a year, 2 years, 3 years, and we were moving on, the dynamics were starting to really wear on me. And I would have my moments. I was very real about my feelings about it. And so thank God that I also had a very powerful support system. Some people from his side, some people on my side, and counselor, and being able to go to someone and talk. And even though it was the EQ diva, still part of another EQ tool is getting help when you need it. And so I got the help I needed. And I was very honest about, this shit's pissing me off. When is this shit gonna stop? Or, when is this going to move on? Or how, when is this going to transition? Or how are we going to move through this? So, and then I would go on into, okay, I got this. Okay. And be compassionate and being loving, because he was also going through his stuff. So I had to be there for him, but I also had to be there for me. Yeah. Because if Esther wasn't going to be there for Esther, who was going to be there for Esther? I mean, yes, he was there for Esther and he was very supportive, but he, he was dealing with something very traumatic as well. And, I signed up for this. So I wasn't a victim, we're not victims. And so, yeah, thank you for saying that. And thank you for
Yeah.
reminding us.
And I would say, especially because you're the EQ diva, like whatever our soul lesson is that we're teaching people, like we're learning it at layers and layers and layers. That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, I've been teaching this, life happens for me bullshit for like years. And I'm like, well, here's my test to show
Exactly.
universe.
Exactly. That's
And
where
it works.
the rubber meets the road, right?
It works. It works. And my lesson this time is slow down. Just slow down. Slow down. Take the time to feel. Take the time to be honest with yourself. Take the time to really experience what there is to experience. Yes, you'll find the lessons, like they'll get so clear, but just ride it out.
Exactly. So this has been, really amazing. I wanted to see if you want to check to see your Facebook, if there's any engagement, if anybody has any questions or anybody want to ask anything, really quick. I checked on mine, so we're good there. And,
I don't see nothing here.
okay. So, this is recorded. So, you'll have the recording and people
I'll
can
share
watch it.
that.
Yeah. And again, if anybody wants to reach out to Zaina, for any of those beautiful gifts that she shares in the world, I know I'm going to when I'm ready with my book. And so, if you have anything to, if you need any help with any of the things that she mentioned, please reach out to her. And also, if there's someone out there that would love to share their story and it could be used as an EQ tool to help others, raise their vibration and really learn and recognize the crazy, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to speak to you and see how we can make it happen. But thank you again so much, Zaina, for this time. And, we'll connect again, I'm sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for being committed that people can like work out anything in life. Anything. Life is life is life. Thank you for
Life is
having me
life.
on. I'm really grateful at the opportunity to share, Esther. Like really I'm really happy. Look, I made this today. I'm making these for Friday.
Nice.
JC's quote. But
I'm looking forward to coming out to one of your shows one of these nights. It's been
thank
so
you.
super crazy.
Here's your let that ish go.
Exactly.
Nice. But and I'm super excited for your book and what you have to share. And I get you're sharing it now with us. Like that's who you are. This is your life. Thank you.
So all the best. Big kiss. And stay on for 1 sec, just so I can turn all this off. And we could just say goodbye over there on the other side. So hang on tight, everybody. All right, everybody. And as always, if you know the quote, do it with me. If not, it's okay. You'll learn for next time. So when we know and understand ourselves, the world will know and understand you too. And remember, what's the best that can happen? All right, everybody.